If you're an online coach or run an educational company and you're running webinars and you are unprofitable, in this video, I'm going to show you the best practices on every single funnel metric and exactly how to turn your funnel profitable, right? So without any further ado, let's hop straight into it. We have a little scenario here. As we can see, our CPMs is $67, CTR 0.9, opt-in 17%, 15% show rate, 75% retention, 20% booking, 55 call show rate, 35 close rate, AOV is $5,000, ROAS is, as you can see, 0.5, which is very cooked, and we got this number by using this calculator. Anyways, let's see how we can actually fix this, right? So the first things first, you ran your first webinar, right? You've seen that you did not cook much, right? Obviously, your webinar is not profitable. So how to actually solve this? So first things first, we need to look at the metric that we can double the easiest, right? The easiest, and number two, the quickest as well. And number three, actually, the most important one, right? So obviously, we're not going to be focusing on our close rate because, obviously the problem is not there. Yes, it could be better, and we'll talk about how we could improve it. But obviously, that's not the biggest problem. Now, if we take a look, we can see that the CTR is, lower than it should be. The opt-in rate is kind of cooked. The show rate is definitely cooked, and the call show rate on our sales calls is also, not the best. Now, which one of these are we gonna, double the easiest, the fastest? So obviously, the CTR is, there's probably something wrong with your ad creatives. Now, obviously, it's gonna take some time for you to record a whole new set of ad angles, get them edited, launch them. Obviously, that's going to take some time. So we're not going to focus on that immediately. What we want to focus on is, the lowest hanging fruit that's going to double our numbers, right? So I would probably first look at the opt-in rate. So 17%, is not the craziest. We could probably put that up higher. So here are some problems that could be going on with your opt-in page. So number one, it's probably your headline, right? It's probably your headline that isn't talking directly to your ICP, which, ties into messaging. And, maybe you're just too broad, number one. Your headline is just super general. There's nothing special about it. There's no unique mechanism. You're marketing to, a cold audience or even a warm, but the headline just doesn't hit, right? It just doesn't catch them, and it doesn't push them to, obviously click the button and register. Another thing could be, your colors, your design. Maybe your landing page just looks super bad and it looks super scammy, and people, when they land on it, it either shines too much in their eyes, they just want to click off. It's not mobile optimized. That's another thing. Or simply it just doesn't look appealing, right? That could be another thing. Too much friction. If you have way too many questions in your opt-in form, that could be another reason. You don't have to go for anything crazy when you're doing a webinar funnel. Literally, you just need their name, their email, and their phone numbers. That's really it, right? You don't have to go anything crazier than that. So yeah, have as little friction as possible for them to opt in. Now, if you have a brokey bait, that's obviously fine. What a brokey bait is basically, you just have an extra question that filters between, unqualified leads and qualified leads. If they are qualified, they obviously, get sent to the thank you page with the pixel that fires the conversion event for Meta. But I'm not really using that method. I'm using a different method to get qualified registrants for the Metapixel. But I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But yeah, if you have that, that's obviously fine. But unless you're trying to do the brokey bait, don't add friction to the opt-in. Like, there's really no point in that. Messaging, I've talked about that. You're just not targeting your ICP. You're just not talking to the right person, and it's just maybe too broad, right? Non-congruent. Maybe from your ads to your funnel, there's no congruency. Meaning, you're promising something on the ad, but then you're completely different on the landing page, right? You have a different promise, different guarantee, different timeline, whatever that is. If it's not consistent, you'll lose trust, you'll lose the lead right there. And lastly, no urgency. So that could be from the design perspective. You're just missing that little um, time thing. The clock. Obviously, this urgency. People don't want to miss live events. But number two is even within your headline and when they're in your messaging, people just don't care that much about your webinar, right? It's just not they don't feel the sense of urgency to actually do something and to even click and register, right? So these are some of the common things that you should look at and you should fix that could significantly increase your opt-in. So let's just say we get that up to a nice healthy 35, right? You can actually change that number right here and we'll see how that changed. Boom, we're already at 1x, 10K cash collected from a 10K ad spend. So now we're break even and we've only fixed literally one of the problems, right? We've only doubled one of the metrics. So yeah, as you can see, once we start doing this more better with more metrics, we're easily going to turn profitable, right? So that's for the opt-in. Next up, I would probably look at the show rate because that's the other big thing here that is hurting the funnel a lot and is easily fixable. So if your people are not showing up onto your webinars, there's multiple things. And obviously there's all the technical stuff, but then there's also a component that's very, very important. And I'll get to that one in a bit. But first things first, just some of the technicalities, the stuff that you just have in place in order to ensure that your show rate is good. So obviously you need a confirmation page. Now on the confirmation page, how that looks like is you have a thank you page VSL, right? A quick video of you explaining why they should show up, right? And this ties into the bigger problem, which is again, just no urgency. People just don't care about showing up, right? Because think about it, right? People have so many things to do, so many things in their days to do. And in order for them to actually show up to the webinar, they just need to give a fuck, right? You need to give them the reason to give a fuck to really show up. You need to give them that urgency, that reason why they should show up, right? So ideally, if you can do some research and ideally find some trending topic or some just reason that you can use the angle to then use for them to give a fuck about showing up and to give them that sense of urgency, your show rate is going to immediately skyrocket, right? So you do that within this thank you page VSL. Obviously you tell them what the next steps are going to be, what they should do. You should save the link, bookmark it, add it to your calendar, blah blah blah. But most importantly, tell them about the opportunity and why is it important to actually show up, right? So that's number one. After the thank you page, you'll have them obviously have a button for them to add it to their calendars, and then also another button for them to join a community. Now, basically, what you're going to be doing with this community, it's basically just another channel for you to hammer them with content, with nurturing. And lastly, what we have there as well is we do a little form where we ask them, obviously, what they're trying to do, how much they have to invest in these certain business models. So that way, we just get data. We get some, potential objections, questions that we can then include in our webinars. And another thing that we're doing is we're getting some commitment from them, right? So apart from just, opting in and, just going straight away, they watch the video, they join the group, you just have them do things so that they're obviously more inclined to show up, right? Because if you're just opting in somewhere, you don't even put in your phone number, for example. Let's say you had an opt-in with just their name, right? Obviously, it's so low commitment, they're probably not going to show up. But if you have them do, certain things, and then in the emails you have them do this, 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 do this, this, this. As they start doing more of these little tasks, you're going to be staying more top of their mind, right? So with this one as well, what you're doing is, you're basically having them put some commitment towards showing up because they already put some effort in. It's like you start a hobby and you just, want to finish it because you already put some work into it. For example, painting, right? So we're doing the same thing here. We get them some data, and yeah, it's just a good practice to do. Oh, I would almost forget breakout videos. So it's essentially the same thing as you would have on your thank you page after people book a call with you. you just basically want to have 1 to 3 minute quick little videos answering questions, or handling objections that might come up, right? That might stop them from showing up. So that's why what these videos are for. There's four types. Number one, wait, let me see if I have that. Okay, so number one is questions, right? Potential questions that they might have, either about the business model. Let's say it's Airbnb. Oh, is it gonna work in my country, right? You boom, record a quick video explaining that yes, it does. It works in most of the countries because X, Y, and Z, right? Number two is second layer questions. So what a second layer question is, it's a question that pops up after the first question is answered. So an example would be, oh, does it work in my country? Yes, it does. And the second layer question could be, oh, but my city has this restriction, and basically you just answer that second layer question, right? So okay, your city has this, but what you can actually do is you could just go outside that city and run your Airbnbs remotely, right? So you answer a second layer question. And number three is you just set some expectations. And number four, you handle objections. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? So that's the breakout videos. So next up, email, right? So first thing with email is, number one, you need value dense emails. What that means, you're not just sending people reminders of, oh, webinars happening in 24 hours, webinars happening in 1 hour. No, you're not doing that. You need to send them value. So educate them, sell them on the mechanism, sell them on yourself, sell them on themselves. Give them emails that they would genuinely want to read, right? Don't be selfish. Don't just feed them something that they don't care about, right? Do your due diligence. You should know your ICP exactly, so you should know exactly what you want to be talking about in the emails in every single one. And you can even send more than one a day, as long as they're value dense. People are going to read them and people are going to appreciate them, right? So you just want to make sure their emails are actually good. So that's number one. Number two is check your email deliverability, right? What if you're landing in spam? What if you're landing in promotions, right? Check that. If you haven't warmed up your email, that's probably the reason. So do that first. And yeah, just check, your open rates, maybe fix your subjects, etc., right? This email. Number three, obviously SMS, have SMS. And one more thing with SMS is, be compliant. Don't send SMS people at the times when you're not supposed to, because you could get sued, and it's not pretty. So watch out for that. Make sure you're sending within the times where you're supposed to be sending. Next up, missing urgency. Why should I give a fuck? I already explained that. You need to find a highly believable reason why people should give a fuck, right? By that, you make people actually care and prioritize, because again, they have so many things to do in their days, right? So you just need them to make sure that they prioritize this one. And lastly, we have the hammer them strategy. So what the hammer them strategy is, you're basically replicating the organic process with paid ads, and you're doing that in a super condensed time frame, right? So usually how organic processes works, you just let people freely flow on your YouTube reels, etc., right? Maybe they watch 5 videos before booking a call. Maybe they watch 10 videos. Maybe they watch 15 videos. Maybe some watch 1 or 2 videos. And what you want to do here is basically you run a new campaign. You select only your webinar registrants as the demographic that you're targeting. So that's who you're going to be showing the ads to. And basically all your ads are just going to be your long form and short form pieces of content, and you just absolutely hammer them, right? So ideally you want them to see 20 videos of you pop up every single day in between them opting in and the actual webinar, right? You want to stay top of their mind. You want to keep popping up on their page. And again, those content pieces should again answer questions, answer secondary questions, set expectations, objections, testimonials, etc., etc., etc. Again, you're replicating the organic process, so you're just shoving as much content in front of their faces as possible, right? And chances are they've probably registered for more than just your webinar, right? And if someone is not doing this strategy and you are, guess which webinar they're going to show up to, right? If they see you every day and you have good content, right, and they're scrolling and you just keep popping up, obviously they're gonna watch your content and they're gonna be like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about, right? So that's what you need to do. Hammer them strategy. It's super cheap because you're literally targeting, max couple thousands if you're running a huge webinar, and you're just shoving content in front of that small audience, right? So do that. If you do all these, your show rate should be absolutely amazing, right? So let's say we double our show rate, we make it 30 by using all these best practices. Let's see how that looks like now. Do, do, do. Webinar show up rate 30. Boom. We're already at 2x, right? That's pretty good. We're already at 2x and we've only fixed 2 metrics. So next up, we have call show rate. Now, basically the exact same strategy applies for the call show rate. Now, on top of that, you also add setter and closer best practices, right? So, your reps, what we do is we put everyone in a group chat together. We obviously have a triage call, setter calling them up, confirming, building rapport, getting them excited for the call. Then we have, closer, introduce himself, send a voice note, send a video, send some trust assets, and boom, if you do all this, you confirm the call, your show rate should be good, right? Again, it's the same thing, have a confirmation page, check your emails that they're value dense, handle objections, handle questions prior to the call, have your team reach out, do some of the best practices, and again, you can have the hammer them strategy as well. So it's the exact same process. If you do all that, um, let's just say we get the show rate up to 75%, right? Which is pretty decent. So let's do that. 75, boom. We're already at a 3x ROAS, right? Isn't that pretty good? So lastly, close rate, obviously review your sales calls, see what the objections are, talk to your reps, see where the bottleneck is. Maybe if there's an objection that's constantly stopping your team, fix it in your breakout videos, in your emails. If they can't get over, I need to think about it, replace your reps. And yeah, if you do everything right, webinar deals should really be layup deals because, all of this nurturing has been happening. They've literally been on with the creator. The creator was selling them as well hard. So the webinar deals should really be layup deals, right? So let's just say we bump that up to 50. Let's see. Let's see how that looks now. Close rate 50. Boom. 4.5. Isn't that beautiful? All right. Now, lastly, once we have all these, easier fixes, we can get into, the ad creatives, which probably is going to take, a little more time. We need to record new ads. So what are we going to do here? So number one, obviously you look at your ads manager and, you see which ads you need to kill, right? Which ads are not performing, which you just need to kill, which are performing, you can keep them. How you determine that, look at first things first, how much Meta is, spending on each ad. If your ad is not getting any budget, it's probably, ass, just kill it. Next up, look at your hook rate and your hold rate. For those of you who don't know what that is, feel free to DM me. Next up, you need to test a lot of new creatives, right? That's really it. It's nothing to do with how you set your campaign. It really probably is just your ad creatives, right? So look at your ad creatives, do a bunch of testing, do different angles, do different hooks. Again, see your messaging. If your messaging is good enough, if it's talking to your ICP. Next up, it could maybe be your editing. If you're trying to attract a very affluent audience, rich people, and you have some crazy edits, it's probably not going to attract the right person. Same thing with background. If you're trying to be professional, probably, don't be hanging around in front of a Lambo. Again, it might turn off some of the more affluent demographic, vice versa. You just gotta, again, know your ICP and tailor towards them, right? Another thing that you could add is dynamic creatives. Now, what dynamic creatives mean is basically you just give Meta a bunch of variations of, your headlines, your creatives, and then Meta is just gonna mix them up together and find the best options. So that is that. Let's say we bump our CTR to 1.6 using all these strategies, and suddenly our webinar funnel is gonna look pretty good. Boom, 7.5 ROAS. There you go. So this is how you fix majority of your webinar funnel metrics. If there's any metric that is cooked, here are some of the best practices to fix them. I didn't really talk about retention rate and booking rate because in this scenario we have it pretty good, but obviously that's a problem of your webinar itself, of the actual presentation. If that's the case for you, I recorded a whole video right here. I'll probably leave it in the description actually, about webinar frameworks and the presentation, so you can feel free to check that out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, got some crazy value. If you did, drop a like, let me know, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.